All right, so I've been asked basically if I could do at least a little bit of recording to help you guys out. And so here is that recording. This is to help you guys out with the SQL project. So I got the SQL project. I got this from the D2L site. I'm hoping you know how to do that yourselves. And then we're going to be looking at the SQL test, which I strongly suggest you basically take and download. And if you did take that and download, what you'd see is this document right here, the practical SQL test. The whole point of this is to give you guys life skills, by the way, not just simply to test you. So I'm basically saying the purpose of this test is to go through basic SQL. We're not going to go through some crazy function or anything. This is going to be basically the idea, a utilitarian quiz. We're going to ask you several questions about the data, and you get to do things to the data. All right. So the first thing we need is basically this model in place, which has got departments, employees, and jobs. You'll note that we do have departments, employees, and jobs as text files. And so what I'm asking you guys to do at this point is to download. Now you're going to want to put them all into a nice safe spot. I got mine sitting here off my desktop in a directory I've called DB1, where I've taken the test, which you're seeing here, and then there are 3 text files. If you look at the text files, just simply opening them in Notepad, what you'll actually see is that they are like legit text files. One thing you'll note is that the columns seem to be separated by spaces, but these are not actually spaces, they are tabs. Now, I wouldn't necessarily know that from looking at the data, obviously, but that's kind of just that's what they are. Thankfully, Access will figure that out. So let's get rid of that, and I'm going to minimize that for now. Let's open up Access. So I'm assuming it's different for all of you, so I'm not going to bother showing how to do that. I'm going to open up Access. This is the Access that I believe the school is using, so the versions should be close. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, you're going to open up a blank database. Make sure your database is pointing to the right spot. I'm going to call this one exam, is what I'm going to call it. And then I'm going to make sure that this guy is going to my DB1 space folder. I'm going to go create. Remember, the first thing that Access does is it gives you a blank table, which it's supposed to be trying to help you out. But we don't need no stinking table because we're going to be using the data that we've got. So let's just get rid of it. All right. So our data is external to Access, right? Access, this particular database, the exam database, doesn't even have any data in it. So we're going to be going external for this. We're going to go external. We're going to go to new data sources, and we have some choices. This does look a little bit different than what I'm seeing in the classroom, but oh well. Anyway, you'll figure it out because you're going to go from file and you're looking for a text file. These things that are sitting out on the folder are not Excel documents, they are text documents. So you can go ahead and say, go from the file, go get a text file. And where are these things? Well, I have plopped mine in my own spot. You guys will figure out where you plopped yours. I'm going to go grab departments. I'm going to go open. I'm going to go OK. I'm going to import, just basically dragging that text file into Access. It is delimited, right? Delimited means that there's something between each column. It's figured out that it's in fact tabs. That's pretty cool. The one thing that people keep forgetting is that the first row is not data. The first row are field names. So I'm going to click on that, and now the first row are now field names. See the change? Now it's basically saying, hey, there's some bull crap happening at the end. You can ignore it because we don't care about this. We're really just interested in the first 4. Sometimes doing Excel exports, or honestly, sometimes data from the government, sometimes data from other parties, tends to bring in crap at the end. You don't really need to worry about that. Later, you actually have the choice not to bring it in. So we're going to go next. This would be one of those choices, by the way. I could go in here and say, hey, you know what? Please don't bring that crap in. I could do that. You don't have to, but I'm doing it. I'm going to go next. And now the next thing is it wants to put its own surrogate key there. I don't want it to do that. I want it to use the key that came with the data. So I'm going to basically click there. Remember, in real life, the key could be anywhere in here. It just happens to be on the left-hand side here. I'm going to go next, and now I'm going to keep the name, the same name as the data. So I'm going to go finish, and now it's going to say, hey, do you want to save the steps? No, I don't care. And there's my table, and all of its glory is now sitting inside the database. Great. I'm now going to be doing that a bit faster for the two other ones. They don't want to waste a lot of their video time sitting here explaining all of this. So I'm going to go again, get the employees. You have to, by the way, if you're doing this on your with me, feel free to pause. Right, this one's I think a little bit painful to try and pull off all the crap at the end, because I think it's really has it got, well, it's got something sitting over here. Anyway, don't worry about it. I'm just going to bring it in. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm going to go next. I'm going to go next. I want my own key. Next, go. Pretty well these same clicks for all of them. New, from file, text. I'm going to go grab jobs. Okay. Great. Sure. Complaints again. This one seems to be a bit easier not to import, so I may as well take that opportunity. Take that, job ID, go and finish. All right, so I've got all these guys sitting in here. Great. I might want to close the table and just look right here at the navigator pane here. So now, just to make the queries easier for later, and because it's good practice anyway, I'm going to create a relationship between these two. And this gets into more what we're going to be talking about next time. So I'm going to go relationships, and I'm going to basically say, hey, can I have my departments table, my employees table, and my jobs table there? I'm going to get rid of this. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that over too, so I can get a bit more real estate. All right, so what's going on here? Well, I got my tables, which are still not particularly related. And yet, you can't even see all the columns. So if you get a scenario like that, you can click, he says, and do that. And then now I've got myself my tables. Great. And they got their keys, which I defined. Department here is going to join to that department there. So I'm going to take this department, bring it down, and dump it on that one. I'm going to say create, and I got myself a nice relation. Going to take this one, I'm going to drop it down to jobs and go create, and I got a nice relation. It's interesting that there's some crap there. I'm wondering what that is, but oh well. Now, it makes sense that some people were saying, hey, how come it doesn't look like this with the one and the many? I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know why it doesn't look like that. I don't care at this point. At least I know they're connected. There's a relationship. So I've kind of got to this point now, right? So now let's go to the actual question. So the example question I gave you is, hey, can you answer the question, which employee makes more than $10,000 a month? So to do that, we're going to create a query. And I'm going to create a query using the query wizard. It's going to be simple at this point. We're going to go OK. And it's not the departments table that's going to answer that question. It's the employees table that answers that question, right? I mean, it looks to me like I've got employee data here. I'm asking about employees. It's going to be the employee table. So I want the employee ID, it looks like, because that's the column. I want the last name, not the first name, because that's the column. And I want salary, because that's the column. This is honestly why I don't really care about the crap data. I'm going to go next, and I'm going to go next, and I'm going to call this thing starter or whatever, right? And this one, I don't really care about the name, but I'm going to do it starter query. Cool. And now I'm going to go finish. I'm actually going to, now notice I got a choice. I can go right into modifying it, because that was a pretty straight shot, and that's not going to totally answer the question. But you know what? It's always good when you're doing your queries to check as you go. So I'm going to go finish. And now I got myself some data. Looks great. And here's my query. I know the job thing is highlighted. That's just trying to make your life harder. But if I click over here, my query is now the thing that's highlighted. All right, what do we do now? Well, we're not answering a question of which employees make more than $10,000 a month. We're actually seeing all the employees. So what can we do? If we go home, we can see that this query has got three views. The data sheet view, which is what we're currently in, the SQL view, and it's got the design view. In the design view, we have the ability to look at criteria, and there's criteria here where we can say, hey, we'd like this to be greater than 10,000. Now, if I could make that bigger, I would, but I can't, so I won't. But that's basically a greater than sign, and then 10,000. I hit enter. That's a criteria. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Oh my goodness, it looks just like the output now. That's awesome. Where's the SQL? The SQL is under the SQL tab, and I could take that SQL and run over here and paste it, and I would just go, yeah, actually just gonna paste cleanly. All right. Yeah, see, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go paste special. I'm gonna go unformatted text and see what happens there. Yeah, it's still butchered the box a little bit. Yeah, I don't like that. Anyway, okay, so but basically I can take the query and put it here. Now, by the way, if you want it to look like it did, what I would do is I'd go up, just a little bit of word stuff for you here, and I guess I'm gonna go to paragraph. I'm gonna say line spacing single. I think that will probably bring it all together. It doesn't even do that. That's fine. Whatever. The biggest thing is to get that box around it. So go grab a box, put that, and there you go. So now it's this SQL statement sitting there, and that's the first thing. That is the setup. That's where we're going to stop this video. I'm going to come back and I'm going to resume and do two of those questions.